The legacy of Rome.
Ancient Rome has heavily influenced the American law system. Many of the basic principles we take for granted today actually originated from ancient Roman thinkers. For example, the legal system of civil law originated in ancient Rome. Civil law was created to protect not only the Roman Empire, but its citizens as well. This law applied to the citizens and non citizens of the empire. Many of us have probably heard the phrase, innocent until proven guilty.
Innocent until proven guilty.
Innocent until proven guilty.
Everyone is innocent until proved guilty.
It is a well known fact that in American society, an accused person is innocent until they are proven to have committed a crime. This principle actually originated in ancient Rome to make sure there was enough evidence to prove someone committed a crime, instead of just believing outlandish accusations. Solid evidence had to be used to be declared guilty. If not, someone could be severely punished and serve jail time for a crime they did not commit. Judges in ancient Rome realized this and were expected to interpret laws and make fair and just decisions based on fact, not personal opinion. That meant that innocent people would not be punished and guilty people would not roam free. This principle is still upheld today. As well as this, the idea that a person accused of a crime was allowed to face the accuser or witness and mount a defense against the claims originated in ancient Rome. What this means is that if a man were accused of, say, robbing a home, he would be able to come face to face with a family accusing him of robbing their home and will be able to defend himself against the allegations. This principle is actually included in the U.S. Constitution, is in the Sixth Amendment, and is called the Confrontation Clause.
A huge part of Roman art and architecture were similar to that of the Greeks, but there were a few factors that set them apart. Roman sculptors and artists focused on every tiny little detail and on making their pieces of art look as realistic as possible, just like the Greeks. However, one of the few things about Roman art and architecture that differed from Greek art was that the Romans focused greatly on individual character. They also emphasized grandeur when constructing buildings and monuments to show their power. Many of their structures, frescoes, and mosaics were based on scenes from Roman literature and the everyday life of Romans. One of the greatest accomplishments of Roman architects was the improvement of the designs of columns and arches, and developing the arched dome to be used as a roof for large spaces. While these are only a few of the ways in which Roman art and architecture has affected the legacy of the Roman Empire, there are still many left to be discussed.
Breaking news: the Western Empire has fallen. Romulus has surrendered to barbaric tribes and is the last emperor of Rome. Why they had a 14-year-old emperor during a time like this, we'll never know. But instead of focusing on the demise of Rome, let's look at the great accomplishments they had. Rome built huge structures that were giant feats of engineering. They built beautiful bridges and aqueducts that spanned for miles. They used features like the arch to support these structures, and that is why they are still standing. Romans were only interested in science with practical uses. A lot of their science involved how to best manage large estates. They also knew the advantages of good farming techniques. Although Rome has fallen, they will not be remembered for their demise. They will be remembered for their great achievements. Roman authors wrote for many reasons and in many genres. Virgil, in his epic poem Aeneid, depicts the story of the Trojan Aeneas, who fled Troy and had adventures in Carthage and Italy, in an attempt to show that Rome's past was as heroic as Greece's, in the hopes that it would incite patriotism and unify the country. Other writers used satire in their poems to make fun of Roman society, while more, like Virgil, wrote about Roman legends. Roman literature took much influence from the Greeks. In fact, the first work of Roman literature appeared after they conquered Greece, when they translated Greek texts into Latin. The legend of the founding of Rome starts with a pair of twins named Romulus and Remus, who are sons of Mars, the god of war.
Left in a river and rescued by a she-wolf, they went on to found Rome. In 509 BC, however, the monarchy that ruled Rome was overthrown and a republic was established. That republic then greatly expanded Roman rule and territory. Later, Julius Caesar took control of the government, but was killed by his enemies. His nephew Octavian and his friend Mark Antony avenged him, and Octavian became the first emperor of the new Roman Empire. 503 years later, however, the Western Roman Empire then fell after a series of military losses and economic, social, as well as political declines. Like Roman literature, Roman philosophy borrowed heavily from Greece. The Romans basically adapted the Greek gods and their mythology to fit more Roman views. And like the Greeks, they took part in religious festivals and holidays, as well as offering part of their meal to the gods. Roman philosophers also adopted the Greek philosophy of Stoicism, which teaches tolerance, virtue, and self-control.